Hey, come here. Hello. Hey, anyway, this guy. So yeah, we're in Aberystwyth Marina. Nice westerly Riviera just there. Like those a lot. But I thought I would give you guys a boat tour of John Seagull. So this is the boat that we're acquiring for the sailing with the weirdo stuff. So some of you hopefully will have an opportunity to come and sail with me on it. So that's her. So Moody 42 Mark 1. I'll explain what the difference is between the Mark 1 and the Mark 2. They're actually quite significant in some areas. But the Mark 1 is physically stronger. But there are some ergonomic things that make the Mark II a little bit better. So yeah, 42 foot length overall. I think more or less a 12-foot beam, just over. I think I'll have to check, and then just under 6 feet draft, fully laden ketch. Interesting options for sail trim. Being able to sort of sail using the mizzen as a helm, as steering. But yeah, so yes, it's yellow, by the way, in case you hadn't noticed. It is yellow, and I'm not inclined to change it. I think it's nice and visible, it's noticeable, and hopefully over time it will develop a little bit of a sort of, I suppose, cult status. Wait and see. But yeah, the more we can draw attention to the work that we're hoping to do with this, the better. So lots of nice things on the boat. So if I'm the gentleman who's selling it, bought it after it had been out of the water for 7 years. And it needed a lot of work. It had leaked in the windows, and things, the rot had set in. There was all sorts of problems. They've done an amazing job so far in getting it to where it is today. New sails, and some new rigging. They've done some new deck paint. There are some areas where the deck paint needs completing. It doesn't make it not seaworthy, but it does need to be done. And so I was just discussing that with him. So this boat, incidentally, has been across the Atlantic on at least one occasion, if not two. It's been into the Mediterranean. So because the windows are so big, it's had these window covers installed as well, which will be great. I'm not sure how see-through they are. It would be great if they're not, because then they could actually double as sunshades and make it nice and dark in there, because it's very, very airy inside there. So aft cockpit. Personally, I prefer aft cockpits for reasons that'll become clear in a sec. And oh, hello, Sarah Bean. So, you what? So I like the aft cockpit. One of the reasons why I like the aft cockpit is when you're sitting back here, you get a tremendous sense of scale of the boat. So looking forward, you get a huge sense of scale. Maybe it doesn't show it on the video, but you get a huge sense of scale. So great helm position. You get to see the entire boat from the helm. The mizzen is a pain in the neck because it's right in the way. It does that on 11 point as well. Yeah, you get a great view forward. You get a more sort of a sense of the sort of vastness of the boat. One of the other reasons I like the aft cockpit is that these cockpit lockers are all connected, so they are massive. So in there, that connects all the way through to the other side, and the lazarette as well. They're all connected, and so big enough for dive tanks, obviously all your fenders and those kind of things, ropes, but yeah, paddle boards, fishing gear, anything else that you want to take offshore with you. It's all available there. Nice binnacle, big compass. Nice wheel, nice and sensitive, like it a lot. The sunshade has built-in solar. It's got davits on the back here. There is a dinghy that goes with it. Still currently at a 4 horsepower 2-stroke, which I like a lot. I'll be keeping that. I don't want to upgrade that to 4-stroke. I'll be hanging on to that. But yeah, this is where we get onto one of the differences between the Mark 1 and the Mark 2. As you can see, this access into the companionway is kind of unusual. So you're coming past a deck winch, and then the entrance into the companionway is quite steep. That's actually a straight drop down. It's a ladder that goes down there, not steps. On the Mark II, this is actually cut out, and then the entrance into the companionway is a lot easier. But stood up here, when you're walking through, if you're coming at the wrong time, the boom could come across. That's a risk. But hopefully people would know that. But there's no real sort of handholds here, so that's something that needs to be sorted out. It's just to improve the safety around this area. And that's actually now looking vertically down. So you can see the entrance into the companionway is very, very precarious. So it requires one to turn around and then down into the main saloon. So this is where we get into one of the areas where I really like the aft cockpit, because I have this in 11 point as well. Whilst 11 point is a lot smaller, 31 foot, the center saloon is absolutely massive. So when I saw the layout of this boat, I appreciated a little bit more about the layout and what the opportunities were for this boat. I thought this feels to me a lot more like a floating holiday home, like a holiday apartment on the water. So it sleeps eight both. This table, saloon table, turns into a double berth, and with the massive windows, it's quite bright in here, but 2 people can sleep there. Currently, there is no option for turning that into a berth. I might think about doing a guest bed there, almost like a sort of a captain's bed. Do that over there. But yeah, nice galley area set up for offshore. So nice horseshoe galley with handhelds here. This is another difference between the Mark II and the Mark I, is the helm seat on the Mark I does not have a wheel. But the Mark II does, so there's actually a wheel there. What this one does have, which is pretty jammy, is that obviously it has this helm seat here, and you can actually look forward and actually helm pretty comfortably from here. This Raymarine system is fully functional. It's pretty good. Slightly old, but it is pretty good. And you can actually steer helm from here, so you can change course, you can tack from here. And then what else is cool is that I have a handheld unit for this as well. So Ivan was telling me that he quite likes to sit out there on the bow and actually helm from the bow. So that's that I like a lot, is just being able to sit out there and not have to worry necessarily about going back in order to change course. So yeah, so staying in this area, there are areas here that need updating, and this is a topic for another day. But the main area that needs updating in this boat is this aft cabin. So this is where an area where there was significant leak, and so this needs to be updated. I'm in two minds as to what to do with this area, whether I sort of update it, renovate it, and then turn it into a what do they call it, a stateroom. It's a little bit of a posh term for that. I don't think it's very stately, but yeah, so I think that's what they talk about it. But there is a separate heads behind this door. There's a separate heads, and so yeah, open to options for this. I was thinking something that's got hammocks slung end to end, or at least one hammock, but the idea being that this will be captain's quarters, or if it's depending on how things work out, this might be where, I don't know, teenage girls sleep, because they'll have their own heads and they can have their own little bathroom and makeup area and things. So I don't know. We'll wait and see. But at 11 tons, I have to tell you, sitting here, it does make this boat feel incredibly planted. It feels really solid, really stable on the water. We went out this morning for 2 hours, and there was a 1 meter swell running, and the boat hardly noticed it. It was pointed really well, pointed extremely well, in fact. It was rounding up a little bit with the sail trim that we had, so I think we probably could have done a bit better there, but overall performed really well. The helm is easy to use. So down here, heads on the right, on starboard side, nice big heads. It is still my intention at some point to replace either this one or the one on 11 point. Actually, I might replace the aft one with a composting toilet. So stand by for that. But this is nice and big. I'd be reluctant to actually replace this with a composting toilet because it takes up a lot of space in here. So it takes up a lot of space in the heads. But yeah, so I'm in two minds as to what to do with the shower and those kind of things. Moving forward, there is a really nice big V-berth area, and this is an area that's already been renovated. So this is where Fan and Crow have done an amazing job. So it's all nice and bright white. I'd be curious to know what's behind these white areas here, because they're all solid, but there is a little bit of a shelf area there. So I'd be curious to know what's behind that, and whether that provides any opportunities for storage. But there is so much storage on this boat that I probably won't even bother. Yeah, and then anchor locker all the way up front, or anchor chain locker all the way up front. Nice big V-berth here. And what else is there to show? Some good storage options here. Good storage. Needs a bit of a clean, but so far so good. U-bend for the heads is in here as well. I might reposition that. Yeah, it's a nice storage, top and bottom. There's another one down here. And then coming back to closer to midships, so obviously the heads is on that side, but on this side are bunk beds. Interestingly, there's a little window here, a little hatch. I don't know what that's for. Maybe that's to shout at the crew when they need to get out, because you might douse them with water. I don't know. But yeah, 2 bunks. Ruben slept in there last night. Sarah slept in the V-berth, so did I, because there was nowhere else. But yeah, so cockpit cushions, not sure about those. And then the original main, I think, is one of these, and the spinnaker. So we're hoping the next time we sail we can get the spinnaker up. In fact, I think the spinnaker for 11 point is compatible with the mizzen for this. So the main spinnaker for 11 point might actually work as a mizzen spinnaker for this, and we just have to work out how to fly it. But yeah, so that's her. So there's a number of things that need to be done on the boat. For example, the rigging is 20 years old. It still looks in incredibly good condition. It could probably still go another few years, but I think at 20 years it's presenting a little bit of a risk. And so that's probably the first thing I'll look at replacing, just to make sure that we're ship shape and the mast's not going to come down. Then general sort of updating, I think aesthetics is further down the list. But yeah, so that's one. The plumbing, seacock, etc. for the aft heads, I would ideally like to replace that and simplify everything. So when it comes out of the water, that's definitely something I want to do, is to look at those skin fittings and the seacocks themselves, and then the sort of general plumbing. But like I said, I might actually well replace that with a composting toilet. We'll wait and see. So that's one thing. So that's 2 things. So in terms of priorities, the rigging, priority number 1, this aft cabin and the heads, priority number 2. Then generally just going through and making sure that the hull is okay. we don't know what we're going to find once it gets lifted out of the water. They don't have the facility here in this marina to lift out of the water, so we'll have to wait and see. And then anything that needs doing, deck paint, that kind of stuff. Like I said, these guys have done an incredible job fixing this boat up, and so I'm not 100% sure what else we'll find. But I've been going through and making notes of little things here and there. Oh, the one thing that does need doing as well, which is a cosmetic thing, but it's important, is upholstery. So that's something that will definitely get a little bit of attention. I'm a fan of minimalism when it comes to upholstery, so we'll wait and see. But yeah, people still need to be able to sleep comfortably. Yeah, well, that's it. That's John Seagull. Let me know what you think, and if you'd like to be involved in the project to bring her up to spec. The plan is to take her around to Portishead next month, and then do the improvements over the winter, ready to go back in the water around Easter next year. And then we'll be looking to ramp up the activities with that Sailing of the Weirdo does. Very much so. We're looking to ramp those activities up. But I hope you enjoyed the boat tour. And get in touch, chat, send me messages, tell me what you think. If you've got a story to tell, something that you'd like to share, then by all means do that. And look forward to sailing with you next year. Alright, ciao, bye.